Hey, welcome everybody. It is Wednesday, 7 o'clock, time for Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome back, Mary Beth, and welcome, Dr. Alexander. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Welcome, welcome.
So, we are again today. We're going to go over the Artemis program, get you guys questions warmed up because we're going to try to answer as many as we can. But before that, I think Mary Beth, you had a little bit of news.
I have just a little bit of news because I don't want to waste any time doing news tonight because we want to dive right into this topic. The only thing the news I have tonight is I watched it, so you don't have to. I watched The Burrows, and now I'm watching Widow's Bay, both of which adult coded, like The Burrows is adult Stranger Things because it's from the Duffer Brothers. Widow's Bay is very Stephen King coded, and my judgment is you might want to watch these. Guys, go check out The Burrows, especially Alfred Molina's in it. Can you guys tell me, does he kind of look like Bruce Playfair? A little bit.
Oh my God. You are so funny that you said that because we started watching it just I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in, and that's the first thing I said. He looks like Bruce when he's going to get older.
It's the eyes. It's the eyes. His eyes look like Bruce's eyes. Yeah,
it does. Yeah. So that's funny. Yeah, both shows are. I'm also watching Widow's Bay. Widow's Bay is very quirky. It is very Stephen King like.
Yes.
But it's kind of quirky. Yeah. It's worth. I think it's worth a shot watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth a shot. And fun fact, Widow's Bay filmed all around here in Massachusetts, like all around where I live, and
it's supposed to take place in Maine, I think.
Yeah,
or is it or Massachusetts?
I don't know. I don't know where the actual island is, but filmed right here in Massachusetts. So that's super cool. And that's all I have. I could tell you about Grogu's big opening weekend. They came in just shy of their what they expected to do at the box office. I think they had it at 102 and they dropped it to 100, and it came in at 98. So that's 98 million. So that's not bad. The budget was 165. I think they'll make that, worldwide. So technically a hit. So good for you, Mandalorian and Grogu. But that's all I have tonight.
Seen it. I was kind of turns. Mostly people are favorable about it. At least the average
good
person.
Things. I mean, they're like, it's just an extended episode, but I was like, okay, whatever. I mean,
Yeah. So, all right. So Artemis 2.
So are we drinking anything?
I do have a drink. Let me do that really quick. So at the Artemis flower, there's actually several drinks that are Artemis named. So this one seemed very summer-like. Fresh thyme, strawberries, bourbon. Demerara syrup is just like a simple syrup using like cane sugar, brown sugar. It's more caramel-like. Lime juice and Sambuca. Club soda. So, might be good. I don't know. Give it a try.
I think it would be good. Yeah.
So
anyway,
okay. So I don't want to waste this. I want to make sure we get to the doc as much time as we can because the Artemis II program, the mission went well, I assume, right? I mean, as far as you guys, what were there any glitches, anything that maybe we didn't know about besides the toilet apparently not working as well as it should?
Well, so the toilet worked. The wastewater tank did not. So the drainage line was completely plugged up. So, they sort of discovered that after the toilet got used for its first couple times. And it's just like, flight, like, yeah, we can't dump. Like, excuse me. So luckily enough, medical operations, yes, your friendly flight surgeons pushed for a contingency apparatus for collection, and that worked too. So luckily enough that. Some of the other things were minor niggles. So when we first launched, we first did a launch attempt a while ago. I came into console and it's like, and so what are called malfunctions, malwares, anomalies. So mals. And in the first time, and it's just like, all right, here are the mals, and it went on and on and on and on. And it's just like, yeah, we're not launching. So came in early, of course, so we had the preliminary team and they were going, it's looking good. And so we have teams on console, 72 hours, 48 hours, and 24 hours watching the vehicle. And so all 3 orbits or shifts were on. And so I came in as a backup to the main console the main floor console, and I looked at the mouths and went, mouths. Boing. That's it. Wait a minute. Check it again. Boing, boing, boing. Yeah, we're launching. And I told everyone, April Fools, we're going to launch. April Fools, we launched. Sure enough, we did. So the mission had some minor stuff going along with it. IVA, the suit and vehicle outfitting, and ECOM, the environmental control and life support system. Controllers, we had to deal with a couple things, but overall, it's just like, all right, we're all waiting. It's just like, and it's like, okay, we had stuff to do and malfunctions and mouths to work, but it was fantastic. And the crew was, oh my heaven, the crew was just fantastic. I mean, we worked with them for almost 3 years. Doing sims, and so because they'd be in the simulator in Building 9, which is that way, which is the actual capsule, or in another sim, which they would actually do the programming and stuff on a full board with full interaction with the vehicles and stuff like that. So you got to know them fairly well, but when they launched, oh my heavens, it's just like, well, this is a bunch. I mean, Christina is normally fairly quiet, fairly, down to earth, and she says stuff in, quips, and it's just like, and then gets really detailed questions, gets her answer, and they said, "Thank you." Ooh. Well, they got off the pad and post TLI burn and started going towards the moon, and she turned into a joy box. I mean, it was a chatterbox out one side, down the other, and it's just like, holy cow, what happened to her?
Can't stop me now is what it was.
You can't stop me now. It's just like, and it's just like, and the phrase moon joy came in. All four of them were, I mean, Jeremy is quiet, but he turned into the big time moon philosopher. And it's just like, he would make this just like, wow, he would make these philosophical statements. It's just like, you record that? Yeah, we got that. We got that. Wow.
First of all, I can't imagine being in that, even the capsule that size. That the Apollo ones, was that much smaller, and I don't know how those guys could spend all that time in that space. Don't have the mental capacity. I'd go crazy. So my question though is, when you guys do the simulation, do they do full length simulation? So like they're in there for the full week or whatever, and they never come out, just as if they were on the mission, or do they not really do that? Do they break that up?
They don't. They have to break it up because gravity sucks. So
fair.
Even that. But when you're in microgravity or zero gravity, you got the whole area you can float into and stuff like that. So you got to multiply it to the fourth power, what your room space is, and you don't have to fight gravity. Well, that's different on Earth. But we would do entire sections. We did do a couple days. But not the entire 10 days. We did do like 2 days, 2.5 days, on a long sim and stuff like that. But that was about it because, they're just kind of limited by gravity and what you can do. And so there's a whole bunch of artificiality that goes along with that. And you don't want to tax the crew, especially before a mission. But, normally it was scenario based. I mean, like, we spent an entire day doing medical scenarios and stuff like that, drilling them. And it's just like, oh, you've got this, like, oh, procedure, do this, this, and this, and this. And some
key piece.
Pretty intense stuff. That we took all their training that they had over the previous 2 years, and it's like, tag, you're it. And what you going to do?
It's interesting because, I mean, it's definitely, it's still it's one thing, I think, to go to ISS, and it's another thing to be going to the moon. I think it's different type of person. I'm certainly not saying the people that are on ISS are lesser in any way, but to be in that capsule for that many days with really no way out, you're there, you're going. And like you said, like we learned with Apollo 13, once they're going, this is not something they should turn around and come back.
Yeah.
Once they're on their way, they're on their way. So, and that was the other thing. Now, this was they went farther out than Apollo 8, correct?
Yep.
So what was the reasoning for that? Or was it just to see, was that just the science of the orbit, so to speak, to get them to do what they had to do?
So it was still a test flight. And so basically how there were a bunch of different factors. One, it was going to the backside of the moon that was lit. And so you're coming and so the backside is now lit by the sun and the earth is behind. So it's clipping behind to literally see stuff that you've never seen before, radar pictures and stuff like that. Get it. But this was a moon geology 101. And then some of the detailed photographs are absolutely incredible. But it also was going to where, the longer orbital plot that Gateway would have been in. So once that navigation was set, and then so that's where it was. And so now it's set. Well, Gateway went bye-bye, and now it's moon base. So pieces and parts will end up on the surface of the moon rather than orbiting the moon. But that whole plot, and it's just like, do we want to replot this? No, we're going to, the science of this, and oh, by the way, this will really test the propulsion system and the long doing. And oh, by the way, an added benefit to this orbital plot is that very, very little loss of signal. So that's the advantage of this orbital plot as well. So a bunch of different reasons, but those are the big ones.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So what was the reasoning to switch from Gateway to the moon base? What that team came up rather abruptly, at least those of us that are in the layman's terms, so to speak.
It was a multi-place decision, but it was a driving force. And so we need to be down on the surface doing stuff, gaining knowledge, looking at the water, how we mine stuff before we go to Mars. And so Gateway was at one of the Lagrange points, the gravity neutral between the Earth and the Moon. But they thought, it's like, all right, it's a great idea, great on communications, but it does involve a whole lot more orbital plotting and stuff like that. And so it would be 3 days in orbit before you got in range till you can take the lander down. And then 3 days post that to get in a good position to come back to Earth. But your communications were great all that time. Well, as a low lunar orbits, there are four lower that are more advantageous to exploration of the moon. And so the decision was to shift it to a pure moon base and explore all this stuff and basically get the resources that we need to do it right off the bat instead of delaying. That would have been years more down the road. And so if we want to do exploration, get pictures of the galaxy, look at water on the poles, it was decided, yeah, let's go directly to a moon base.
Okay. So the plan, this is the moon base is really, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a launching point to Mars. And that's kind of the part of the idea of having that there as opposed to launching from the Earth or even Earth orbit.
Right. And so there'll probably be a gateway type thing, rendezvous point at one of the Lagrange points to launch to Mars. But in order to develop the technology, specifically the nuclear reactor, the propulsion systems, the more delineated solar arrays, we need to be on the moon surface itself, which will actually push things further down the road towards Mars. And we need to vet this stuff, because if we just fly to Mars without vetting all the stuff, and it's just like, I like, not me. Well,
I mean, it's like you're talking about going down to the corner as opposed to flying across the country. You know what I'm saying? The distance is a little bit more complex, and yeah, you're not. If you think you're far away at the moon, Mars is even more remote. So yeah, I think most people will understand that.
Unlike ISS, you have an emergency, you can deorbit within, the shortest time would probably be 24 hours to make it safe. You can do it probably in 6 to 12. Or, you know, if it's an urgent matter, just get them back as soon as you can. Unlike the moon, it's like, it's like we got 3 to 5 days coming home. It's like, oh, once you go TLI, you're out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of people don't really realize the distances that we're talking about, you know, and how far away they really were, you know, just for Artemis, you know, forget about Mars, but just getting to the moon is immense distance. So now that they've got 2 under your belt, the next one is 3. So what is 3's mission? Artemis 3's mission?
So Artemis 3 changed. So Isaacman said that it's just like, look, we need to do this safe and we need to vet and validate. Let's look at the Apollo program and what happened in 9 and 10. We need to take the landers and ring them out and do more stuff because, you know, an unvetted, unvalidated vehicle in lunar orbit or lunar landing, that's a bigger risk than we vet and validate them prior to going to them and see what their capabilities are. Because we have learned over and over and over again, you can test all you want to on the ground. You get it in space, things go sideways, upside down, literally. They float all over the place.
Sure. So
vehicle validation is there. So we delayed it to Artemis, the lunar landing to Artemis 4. And it's still compressed, but we've learned a ton since Apollo, and that's why, you know, Apollo 5 through 8 were Artemis 2. We flew the guys around the moon and stuff like that. Artemis 1 validated the SLS, the upper stage. The Orion capsule wasn't vetted. It was gutless. It had some displays and stuff like that, but that was it. No life support system, no crew, no nothing. So now we took that in Artemis 2, and boy, did we get a whole boatload of information on the interactions and crew interactions. How do we train for it in the future? And vetted and validated the upper part of SLS.
That's interesting that you said that you said Artemis 1 that was pretty much you know, a very stripped down capsule of Orion, but that's so the fact that you guys threw the astronauts into 2 and shot them to the moon, that was kind of risky, wouldn't you think? I mean, all that because it hadn't really been tested on that kind of a mission before. That was the test. So yeah. I didn't realize that the capsule wasn't like, it didn't have life support or anything, as if it was. I assumed it was exactly like it would have been if astronauts were on board.
Yep. So that's why we needed to vet and validate the life support system, the power generation, to supply all of the main systems. And so mission control and the crew, the commander always can abort anything. So he's in command of that vehicle. So now we know the vehicle could work, and mission control can take control of the vehicle. But now we know that humans can occupy it, fly it, and then do proximity operations and actually do manual docking. That's one of the things that Artemis II proved out is that, yep, we can do manual dockings up there, and which are far faster and far more efficient than the robotic or autonomous systems do. So now we've vetted a system that can go to the moon.
So is the goal to achieve Mars orbit or to land?
Yes.
All of these. Well, you're gonna have to send a bunch of missions ahead of it to like land equipment, fuel, stuff like that for the trip back, right? So that they have something there already.
Correct.
To live. Yeah. Can you tell us what the challenges are? What are the challenges we're facing to get to Mars?
To get to Mars. So right now, it takes 9 to 11 months to get to Mars, just doing what's called the free return, the burns, and using Earth and the moon as slingshots. So one of the challenges is to do it quicker. So that's why 4 of the different engines are being developed. One an electronic propulsion, one an ion engine, one a Vasimir, and one an nuclear electromagnetic one. They're all baseline doing more or less nuclear reaction. is the more efficient ones, and it's just a pellet that big now. We've fired up the world's smallest nuclear reactor at Kennedy, and it is an amazing little thing, surrounded by thorium, which magnifies the reaction, but it doesn't increase the radioactivity. So you can, you bring the spacecraft home, you drop the pellet and the thorium reactor, separate. The thorium takes less than billions of years to decay, but the thorium, 10 years is like, here, use it again. So building on that technology. So one, of course, is the plasma engine, which is basically bouncing microwave back and forth along a bell, propulsing the system. That's the simplest way of putting it. The other is a Vasimir, taking two giant electromagnetic magnets and stripping off electrons and then protons, electrons, protons, electron, protons. It's not a massive V pulse or instantaneous pulse, but it gets you accelerating down a constant curve. So you're accelerating all the way. There's no gravity. It's continually firing. So you're halfway there. Oops, I better turn my butt around or I'm slamming into Mars. It's pretty big. The electromagnetic one is basically you charge the particles and send them out. And in fact, just the beginning of May, they fired up an electroplasmic engine, which had an output of 120 volts. And that's a boatload of stuff on an engineering. So that we're getting even faster and faster and faster. And then the other one is, of course, just straight nuclear propulsion to do that with. And there's a couple other engine derivatives, but taking the spacecraft and these constant engines, now you go down to 90 days. So you can spend longer at lunar apogee or perigee. And so instead of just at 2 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, or if it has to come back around the other side, that's almost a year and 3 to 4 months. Oops. But even at then, here's the other challenge is we need to send supplies up there because we can grow food. We can do things like there are mushrooms, which are great waste eaters, and you can eat them afterwards. Plus, fracking the rocks to make oxygen, or mining water, which is subsurface. So you have to mine it. It's not like a pool or anything like that. You actually have to mine the water. So now you can split water up, make hydrogen, fuel, oxygen, breathe, or just plain old water, drink. And so now we have to put the mining plant on Mars, and then a growing plant thing, with algae and certain things, and then a later one will be hydroponics. And so now we can, here's your carrots, potatoes, which the Martian missed the carrots.
So not unlike For All Mankind at all. Like really, the show is, I think, pretty close.
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty close to what reality might actually be.
What's the gravity difference Mars is compared to Earth?
So 1/3 something. I'm forgetting.
Moon's
the 1/6.
Yeah, right.
1/6. Yeah. I think it's about 1/3 to 1/4.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think which they do on the show is you'd still be bouncy a little bit. I think.
There's still gravity on that show.
Oh yeah.
So
closer to your field of expertise, Doc, what are some of the medical challenges or challenges for the human body to go to Mars?
Oh boy. So space does bad things to the human body. Being gravity is great. So that's one of the things is that the heart doesn't pump efficiently because it's not got gravity to fight. So it downregulates. Bone and muscle can deteriorate. That's why they exercise constantly to keep the heart up to snuff. 2 is muscle up to snuff and bone up to snuff. But that has a penalty is that in microgravity, everything, all your fluid load goes to the head rather than to your feet. So it can build up some pressure in the brain naturally, which we can deal with. The only problem is that without the venous drainage from the head, which it stagnates, we have seen recently, which we never knew about, was clots. And so that's a big risk. We've seen over the past since 2019, we've started discovering clots that go along with that, which doesn't help matters. Oh, those are the big things. Of course, with bone dissolution, increased calcium, so that results in kidney stones. Well, we have to prevent that. Drink. So fluid. And we also do a medical screening before we launch them and do what's called a kidney stone profile. Make sure that their kidneys can handle the calcium real well. CO2 is a big effector. It really affects astronauts in far more ways than one. So those are our top risks right now, and gravity is a great thing. So, but it's looking right now like 1/6 gravity on the moon may not reverse all of that. So, centrifuges, flywheels, and stuff like that to help with gravity would be great. They actually can spin the capsules. That's where the Martian really got that one right. Is that creating artificial gravity, and so always that. But we now have to balance. It's just like, well, it's just 90 days to get to the moon. Now it's a balancing act: cost, volume, mass, and so mass is a big equation because more mass, more fuel. Those are the big ones.
Yeah. Are they working on centrifuges type spacecraft like we've seen in 2001 and all these other sci-fi movies where they always had some kind of rotating section to allow living space?
They've had designs in the the original Space Station Freedom, which evolved into ISS, actually had a free almost like a von Braun spinning wheel on the end of one of the ones. That went because mass, volume, power, and so unfortunately, but also there's other ways to do things. They actually had a single arm, so like a post in the middle, and you put a human powered element. So basically, you either pedaled by foot or by arm that spun up, and so you actually exercised and got gravity at the same time. That was going on ISS at one time. So, and then there's also designs that have been in the books of free arm, like free arm, one end spinning the other, and so like a free arm spin to it. So there's always been design ones, but it's cost, mass, power that you got to deal with, and what's going to be more efficient.
Yeah, I mean, even in space, you still need some power to keep that spinning. It's not going to spin in forever.
Actually, on a free arm, you put the entire system in spin. As long as it's going in the same direction, there's no resistance, so you spin.
Well, yeah, the whole air. I guess the whole thing is spinning. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah.
But you do a counterweight balance system, and you start a spinning wheel going on a vehicle. And so as long as there's a counterweight to make sure you don't wobble off course, you start that system up and it will go. I mean, you may need to boost it during the trip a couple times, but usually it's just going to go. It's just going to spin. You don't need a little hamster in there.
There you go. Just bring a couple of gerbils and you're good to go. Put them on the wheel. There you go. So, all right. So my other question, I guess, kind of flipping back to Artemis 3 and 4, talking about the landers. How do those landers? They've already designed them, I assume. How do they compare to the LEM from Apollo 11 through 17?
Oh, they're there are huge differences, and I mean huge. They are far, far, far bigger than the LEM ever was, and so they've got several different ones. So SpaceX's Starship is the basis for one of the landers. So that's a big lander. Of course, the fuel requirements are pretty huge. So right now, as developed, I know SpaceX has got its pencils to paper right now, but the original HLS landing system took 8 to 14 refuelings just to get to the moon. So the original Starship was to develop a Starship, then the tanker, then the gas station, then the human element, when one building off the ratings of the other, because human ratings are quite stringent. And so it was all on a developmental line for SpaceX. Blue Origin was an inverted LEM. So the human compartment is on the bottom with the engine in the center. And that way that you can get a bigger distribution of weight. And also you can do a cargo carrier, and it's multiple things you can derive out of the Blue Origin one. And it was going to be the sustainment lander eventually, hauling cargo, humans, and things like that. And so the big Starship would be the foundational ones, and then Blue Origin would be the sustainment landers. Well, now, as of the RFP opening up, is that now they're in competition. Let's see who can get there first, and we're going to see that in Artemis III, is that hopefully we're going to dock to 2 landers, and that's going to be exciting to see that. And it's like so it's a huge vetting mission for both landers, and you get the both of those, and we're off and running. Moonbase, look out! We're off and running.
So these are all single stage landers, though, right? Not like Apollo was, where you had this descent stage and an ascent stage, and they're just the whole thing lands, the whole thing takes off.
Yeah, but there's I think Blue Origin has some staging capabilities to it too, but their Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 are all different ones, and so don't hold me to anything, because right now
just one thing we really haven't seen, at least I haven't seen, and about how they're gonna, we're gonna land on the moon, but nobody's seen the lander. At least I haven't seen any promotional stuff about this is what the thing looks like.
Yeah, you can go on. Blue Origin now released its Mark 1 lander. You can see pictures of the Mark 1 lander that went into the vacuum chamber here at Johnson Space Center. It's tested. It's tested, and so you can see the baseline for that one and what all the different ones are going to be derived from it. And so they're doing pencil to paper now to vet and validate designs based on that Mark 1 lander. And so it's amazing. The teams are going, and it's just like, well, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And it's just like, I'm getting my popcorn out. Like, wow, here we go.
These are all designed to be reused, right? It's not like, it's landed, it's gone, then we're just going to pitch it off space. And I know Apollo was just get there. We didn't worry about reusing anything. But now I think, it's a little different situation.
So right now, the base rockets can be used, but the landers themselves right now, I think, are going to be pitched. Ask me that in another month or two when we finally get some delineations on the final designs and stuff like that. But I think both Starship and Blue Origin will be pitched originally. So it will be towards a reusable system eventually, or we may test it out and it's going to be reusable right off the bat. So yeah.
Interesting. Bill Sotak had a question. I'll put it on the screen, but is the constant thrust technology drives also being developed to keep some partial artificial gravity for health reasons? In other words, I guess under constant acceleration is what he's asking.
Yeah, once you hit that acceleration, the inertia takes over, and so you don't have any gravity effect. So it's a constant push. So you're not going to feel any pushback like a rocket engine when you get that original pushback and then it cuts off. It's just a constant acceleration. It's almost like an airplane. Once you take off, you're in flight. You don't feel any gravity.
Yeah. So I guess what he's asking is that technology being developed for health reasons. You know, for the.
Well, we could probably use it for power, but again, you got mass and volume to deal with on top of that. So yeah, one for power, it'd be great to do that, but not always. Yeah, mass and volume come into play.
Okay, so yeah, guys, if you have questions, please post them up, and I will get to them. What's that?
Go ahead and type your questions.
Oh yeah, please put your questions in there for Doc, so that because this is the time. Got a question?
This is
so what is the current timeline now for 3 and 4?
So June right now, tentatively, June of next year for Artemis III, and then Artemis IV is yet to be anchored down, but we're looking at the latter end of 2028 for the moon landing.
I mean, it seems like a long time, but at the same time, it's very short ordered.
So the main elements for Artemis III SLS are being assembled right now in the VAB. They're all down there at the VAB, and a large portion of the SLS Artemis IV, I think the tank finally made it down there. So Artemis IV is getting its stuff down there and being delivered as well. So yeah, we're off and running.
So just so people know, VAB is Vehicle Assembly Building, correct?
Yes.
And that's that really big building that. Right, that's not what we used to call final assembly building. Is that the same space?
Same space, and basically that's where they put the pieces and parts together. And
that still holds the record for the largest interior space of a building non-broken up. If I remember. Correct. There's open space that doesn't have walls or anything. And I'd always heard that it had its own weather system in there occasionally.
Oh well, that's
like they would have clouds or something. Some not clouds, but you would get mist or something kind of forming.
Yeah, it would be a mist. It wouldn't be clouds. So they developed a system up there for distribution and ventilation and stuff like that. So it wouldn't, because the mist would get inside the vehicle, and so it's like, not a good plan.
Water on electronics, not a good combination there.
So when we try for Mars, is there going to be a team in place on the moon that'll be on the moon the whole time we're trying for Mars?
Yes. So there'll be a moon base up there, and so that may be one of the communications links that we're going to use. So Earth orbital plus lunar base. Excuse me, moon base. I got to call it moon base. Moon base alpha. Wait a minute. So that'll be one of the communications relays and launch points. Will be moon base.
Does moon base have a name yet?
Moon base.
It's just moon base. That's the best we come up with. Come on now.
No Happy Valley.
We got to call it alpha. I think you have to call it alpha, right?
Well, it has not been named officially yet, except for moon base. So. Not yet.
Could call it Dagobah or something.
I think Alpha would be after Space 1999. But.
So yeah, your team back in Houston will have to be communicating with both the moon base and the team going to Mars. So you'll have like two different things going on at the same time.
Yep.
It's gonna be insane.
And was about a 3-minute delay to the moon, correct?
About 3 minutes, unless it was
Mars has got to be
22 minutes.
Is it that? I thought it was even longer than that, honestly. But
22 minutes one way.
Right. So you're looking at a 44-minute return.
44-minute conversation.
So crew autonomy is going to be huge. And so that's why we're developing literally, and it's just like autonomous medical facilities, diagnostics and stuff like that. Please state the nature of your medical emergency. So that's not far off. So
that's a good question, though. Would they potentially be sending? I don't know what the crew complement or how many people they're going to send, but would a doctor be?
It's going to be like science fiction. It really is. We need a doctor. We're going to need.
one of them be a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing. Who do you think is going to get the first medical emergency? The doctor. You know, wait a minute. Whoa. So you gotta plan for that one.
Yeah. On Moonbase, you guys have to at least give him a season of the Bob Newhart show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they'll run around
I
going,
mean, just you have to have it there now. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if maybe do the astronauts even watch that show for making reference to For All Mankind.
I'm not sure if the new cadre does, but some of the old cadre, they knew. Yeah, never mind. Some of them even know about For All Mankind. So
that's what I'm referencing. Of course, yeah. I believe Star City is supposed to drop this.
Yeah, Star City is
Friday.
going to kick off here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's Star City's going to
the
drop
Russian
really soon.
side of it.
So that should be interesting. So I just thought, the whole high Bob thing was, it would be fun if they did that. But I know NASA doesn't really have a sense of humor.
They're working. They're busy.
You don't know what behind some of the scenes.
That alarms me.
Oh yeah. So one example is just like, so during the 10 minutes. All right. So 2 and 4 hours before TLI, translunar injection burn, the big burn, they started, the off-going flight director from orbit 3, which is the third shift, started, quizzing what do we need to do? Everyone get prepared. So 2 hours before was a change of shift. The oncoming comes in and says, "Are we ready to go?" So about 10 to 15 minutes prior to the TLI burn, he looks over at MPO and it's just like, "Are you going to be ready for burn?" And it's just like, "Well, the solar cells are maneuvering into position. They're not locked yet. They are maneuvering into position. So we're not go just yet." So it's like, okay, I'm still going to do the pole. So he starts the pole off. INCO, go. GNC, go. Guidance and navigation control. Booster, go. Prop, go. OSO, go. The onboard services. And then GC, ground control, go. ECOM, which is environmental control life support, and emergencies, go. Surgeon, go. BME, biomedical engineer, go. IVA, the suits and everything else like that inside the vehicle, go. MPO, which is the power manager, he said solar cells are not quite locked. We'll give you when we're locked, but we'll go once that's in place. Okay. So a couple of minutes later, MPO, like, flight, we're go. Arrays are locked. Okay. All right. Integrity, Houston, we are go for TLI burn. Seconds tick off, a minute. Like, what? It's just like a DPDT. So the capsule's depression, change in pressure over change in time. It's just like, oh, good lands of Moses. It's just like, we got a huge leak. So on the console, ECOM, the environment controls, the surgeon, and IVA, the spacesuit guys, all pull up, the emergency, algorithms. And so mine has got all the procedures on it it fills in the data. How long have they got? What's the pressure? What's the current pressure? All the, human parameters. And it's just like, so the first line is DPDT is 0. What? And it's just like, and ECOM's going, flight, this may be a false alarm. And, of course, all eyes are like on environmental controls, like, flight, we had a air revitalization system, i.e. the scrubbing system, change in state. So there was a pressure wave that created, and one of our sensors in the system was set to too high a gain. And so it triggered an alert. So we're all good. That's paraphrasing the entire technical thing. And it's just like, so I looked at Zach and it's like, Zach, good grief, my anal sphincter tone went from 5 to 500. I sucked up the chair, the cushion, the seat, and the concrete underneath it. It's like, what do you think mine was doing? It's just like, oh yeah, we just like, don't do that. And it
just open the door to check the weather, or
that go over well.
But seriously though, if that was a real emergency had happened, some kind of depressed, the astronauts would be very aware of that quickly, I would think.
Correct.
Right? I mean, they could tell you, they probably said, we're not reading any, it's fine. We're not dying.
So that they called down, and then it's just like, and so the immediate Capcom was standby integrity. We're looking at it. And so they had their exact same displays that I just had up and running. And it's just like, all right, we're ready to push buttons. What do we need to do? Do we need to get in spacesuits, doing survival mode and do whatever what is? And it's just like Roger integrity standing by. And it's just like, yeah. And then Capcom was like, yep, false alarm. Copy. And done.
How often does that kind of thing? It seemed like, they during the Apollo missions, there was several of those kinds of things where they would have an alarm go off and they just ignore it. That kind of thing. How often does that kind of thing happen on well, I guess we shouldn't say an average mission because there are no average missions.
There is no average.
But like on this one, Artemis II, or did you have issues on Artemis I that cropped up that you guys kind of learned from?
Oh yeah, we had stuff in Artemis 1 and how to do some of the electronics. They are susceptible to space radiation and stuff like that. So that upsets, and basically we practice how to reset a whole bunch of things. We had a couple issues on Artemis, but all was handled fairly well. So, I mean, Apollo had them all the time. Good grief, Gemini had them all the time. And Mercury was just one big emergency.
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about radiation because I know one of the deniers, and they're out there. They always bring up the Van Allen belt and how could they possibly get through this without being fried? I know the answer to this, but maybe you could explain how that is traversed and what modern methods that maybe they didn't have during the Apollo missions that they have now as far as shielding and stuff for that. And I like I said, I know the answer, but a lot of people don't understand how that works and what the Van Allen belts are and how we get. So
yeah, the outer belts do hold the charges and stuff like that and flow it back and trap it in a magnetic. So you're in and out going to the moon. You're in and out of the Van Allen radiation belts. But we've learned how to protect the electronics. We've learned how to protect the crew, basically in crew designs and stuff like that. Water works great. Make sure the water's pointed towards the sun, even then when it's not. And then we do monitor. We do have alerting systems and things like that. But by better design, we've actually ameliorated a lot of it. And Artemis II had far less than what we predicted, even going in and out of the Van Allen radiation belts. And in case of emergency, if we get a huge X9 flare or something like that with a lot of galactic cosmic radiation or anything else like that, there is a radiation shelter. But basically the back deck where all the storage lockers are, they pull out the storage and open it up, and there's actually radiation shielding designed in it. But the capsule itself is designed to ameliorate all of those effects. And so it's usually the bigger flares that we have to worry about where it energizes everything. But even then, we've got alerting and things like that to protect the crew. And so they didn't even get, as far as radiation goes, they didn't even get a chest x-ray worth of radiation during the trip. So it's like, man.
I also understand, I assume it was same with Artemis, but the Apollo, they would purposely plot the course through the weakest points of it. It's not solid. It has stronger and weaker areas, and they would push them through that rather than going through the stronger areas. But that was one of the things that comes up, along these nuts that, think the Earth is flat and, we never landed on the moon. So that's just, but I always, that's one of their things that they love to bring up, that, it's impossible to get through this thing. Apparently they watch too many cartoons, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else can you tell us that you guys are working as far as drilling for Artemis III right now? You said you were pretty busy there starting you're assembling the SLS. What kind of, do they have a crew picked yet for that, for 3 yet?
June 9th. The announcement's June 9th.
Okay, so we're coming close. Okay, so
yeah.
And is that to the public or do the astronauts not know
either? I guarantee the astronaut corps knows. So the question is that picking Artemis 3 and 4, So that way they can, one serves as a backup to the other, or are they going to announce 3 and 4? The crew, I mean, it's just like we've been wanting a crew selection, because you pick flight surgeons or crew surgeons that are dedicated to that crew, right with the crew, and we're all going, we're 2 years too late with this one. Like, come on.
Well,
But
as I'm saying, if you're talking a year out, I mean, I'm sure they're training all along, but they got to start really knuckling down, so to speak, and really get.
Yeah, and
a year doesn't seem like very much time.
Oh, it's not. And so we're betting we know who it is, and it's previous astronauts that have been involved with the developmental program. So we've all got bets as to, it's just like that one. And it's just like, okay, we'll see. We'll just see.
Well, I guess we'll find out June 9th.
Yeah, we'll find out June 9th. But you, Doc, you expect to work that mission?
Currently working mission control.
So that was part of my other question. What are you doing now with as Artemis III already?
So I'm moving over to a moon-based principal medical officer right now. That's an interim, but since I've been in with developmental stuff of Orion first, and then it was Gateway, and then it's moon-based. But I've always been we're a small cadre of flight surgeons who are fully mission control certified, and then that's not an easy process to go through. And unfortunately, we're losing a bunch because they're now mission assigned to ISS and other missions. So we're going to have to quickly retrain a couple new console surgeons, and plus, well, luckily enough, what's called Team 4 or Orbit 4, or the 4th team, was the emergency teams. They're the ones that go off and work emergencies. So luckily enough, that team's going to pretty stay solid. But the console teams, we're going to have to look at a new selection of flight surgeons to come on board. This is like, oh gee, I wonder who's going to get to do TLI and entry again.
So you mentioned ISS. What is? I thought at one point you had said they were planning to deorbit it. What is the future of ISS right now?
Right now, they are still planning to deorbit it, but it's not stopped, and so the crew still is on. Crew has rotations, and so these were already crew surgeons pre-selected, and they would for those particular missions. But one of the plans is that it will serve as the base plate for a new station or a new commercial station that they'll attach the modules to, and then they'll detach that segment. I mean, you already got the backbone. You might as well just use the ISS, detach it, and then deorbit the sections that you can't use for further on. There's also other plans for other stations that are outside of those orbital plots and stuff like that. So there's huge amount of space station developments going on by individual commercial entities and things like that are going on right now. Wow. Yeah. It's just like JFK, hold my scotch. Watch us go.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's taken us over 50 years to return to the moon. Of course, we all had, you're of the same era. As kids, we saw that Apollo missions, and we were thinking by 2000, the movie 2001 would be more accurate. That we were living on. We had moon bases, we had space station, we are on our way. Forget about Mars, we're going to Jupiter. That kind of thing. And here we are still kind of struggling to get back to the moon, which I know was all politics. It was all politics and money and unfortunately, but it's nice that at least we're moving in that direction. And it's important, I think, people to realize. I know a lot of people are like, we have so many problems here on Earth. Why are we wasting money going to the moon? But as we know, technology that has come out of the space program has filtered down into our daily lives. And I think it is important to keep moving forward.
Oh, yeah. So the smallest nuclear reactor is just like, all right, now we can connect up several of those. Can we start from fission to fusion reaction to accelerate that? Now that we got the power to instantaneously, and G that are now that we've got quote micro stabilized matter and antimatter. Gee, Alcubierre in his warp drive formula is just like, hang on, here we go.
To have Scotty running those engines before we know it, right? We're going to be flying across the galaxy.
Yeah,
at least across the solar system. We're not.
Yep, at least to Mars anyway.
So that's really some great stuff. The other thing I think that is really cool, as you're probably aware of, is Voyager. Is what did they say? It's 24 light hours now from Earth, which is an amazing distance.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's in interstellar space and it's still working. You got to tell me there's something weird going on there.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they're like, it would go dark and then all of a sudden it would come back to life, and like, what's going on out there with that thing?
Well,
was it 76 they launched that thing?
we keep reviving it, electronically. It's just like, let's play with this.
V'ger's out there fixing it. Well, it is V'ger, but whatever V'ger.
Yeah. Well, wait do you see what they did with Gateway's propulsion, the power PPE? I wish they wouldn't have called it PPE, but power propulsion element. Yes. Well, yeah. There's the COVID reference. But they're going to stick one of the small nuclear reactors on it, and so it's going to carry 3 helicopters to Mars, and so it's an electronic engine, nuclear powered. So there's where your 90 days or less is going to. The first 90 days or less mission is going to be it. So SR1.
That's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, it's so.
What kind of speed are we talking about to get there in 90 days?
So about. I forget what speed of light it is, like 0.3, 0.2, something like that. So
that's booking. And I guess at that speed, I mean, micrometeors, that kind of thing, I mean, they got to be an issue, right? I mean, something at that speed, even a little grain of sand could be like.
Yeah. Well, luckily enough, we're not going towards a meteor belt, so anything else like that. So it's still a possibility.
Yeah, there's a lot of space in space.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. I can't even fathom 90 days to Mars. Just seems like, they used to always talk about it be a year at least, or 2-year round trip kind of thing. And we're talking now 3 months. I mean, that's just crazy. That is crazy stuff. But,
yeah, much less that we're going to drop 3 helicopters and possibly a rover on the surface to scout out landing sites. So it's just like, yep.
It's going to be cool. I hope I live long enough to see at least a landing on Mars with humans.
Yeah.
I hope I live long enough for that. I know I'm not that old, but I'm getting there. So, but that would be nice. So, well, we're kind of at the end of the hour. Is there any other last things you want to tell us about the missions, Artemis, NASA in general? What that you can impart on us? Of course, you're gonna be in Thai in June for our 60th.
Yep.
So,
but it's been amazing. We're sort of going back to the trail, and Werner von Braun will probably be cheering in his grave right now. But one of the things is that during the whole mission, in mission control, you could, at certain points, TLI burn, entry, and stuff like that, you couldn't hear a pin drop. But if you looked at the responses and stuff like that, and it's just like the whole world held its breath at those same points in time. And it's so, whether, that it is for all mankind. And so we're reaching out to the stars to explore, but to bring back those products and enrichment to good old planet Earth. And because the stuff we discover up there can directly be applied, but we're not just taking 4 humans around the moon. We took the entire world on a journey with us, and to be that part of that is just awe-inspiring, even little teeny part.
Yeah.
But it was just so incredible a thing that it was just incredible.
Yeah, no, it was amazing for all of us that watched it live.
We all watched it, the live stream.
You know, I know a lot of people probably were, you know, we've done this, been here, done this before, but I think it's still an impressive. I don't think if you weren't completely like overwhelmed by what was happening, you really didn't understand what was happening. You know what I'm saying? That's the way the distances they were, the fact that everything, it just, you know, amazed me. And everything went for the most part pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, other than their plumbing issue, you know, which kind of remind me of the Wallowitz. What was it? The Wallowitz space disposal system or something. Remember have you ever watched?
Yeah.
Big Bang.
He designed the toilet and it didn't work.
And it broke or something. Yeah.
They had to get out of the station because the toilet exploded or something.
So
that's the first thing I thought of when they started talking about was we're going for a spacewalk and we're not asking.
Yeah.
So
the Wallowitz,
you can't do that on the way to the moon. You don't have.
No.
To go for a spacewalk. So
the Wallowitz waste disposal system did not work.
It did not work. No. Yeah. No. So. And he was testing it with meatloaf because he figured the Russians up there with their strong potato diet. It was a funny episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I think we're going to probably do this again as missions, you know, things that progress if you're willing, because I think it's so interesting. I hope everybody watching.
Yes,
I'm surprised we didn't have more questions because maybe I was dominating it too much. But really looking forward to watching and seeing how this all goes in the future. You know, obviously a year is not that long, so we'll hopefully we'll be back here and crossing our fingers as they get up. Now, what are the three? They're just going to go around again, but with the lander. Is that it?
Yeah. So it'll be low Earth orbit with one or hopefully both landers.
Very nice. Cool. All right, guys. I don't know what's Roy doing this week. Do we know?
I don't know. I didn't even look, and I forgot to ask Phil.
Early on and said hello.
I'm completely off my game tonight.
Yeah, and we don't know what Phil. That's all right. And we don't know what we're doing next week, as usual.
And we don't know what we're doing next week. We're just a mess tonight. It's okay.
Yeah, we're always a mess. So that's us. Well, again, thanks, Doc, for taking the time. I know you're very busy. We look forward to seeing you in June. And on that note, I will say live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Good night, folks.